The leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, Julius Malema, is back at the East London court for sentencing on firearm charges. The charges date back to 2018 when Malema was attending the EFF's 5th birthday celebration at the Sisa Dukashe Stadium. The court found that Malema had taken an assault rifle from his former bodyguard and co-accused Adriaan Snyman and fired several shots into the air during the event. To discuss the case, we're joined by a lecturer in the Department of Jurisprudence for the University of South Africa, Mametlwe Sebei. Mr. Sebei, welcome to the 12 Report and thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here and greeting to all the viewers.
So let's look at this case in terms of from the beginning up to now, the sentencing of the charges. What's been your estimation of how this case has come about to the results we are expecting possibly any moments from now?
Well, regardless of how you look at it, the matter has long not been just merely a legal case. It is a political spectacle because you would remember that the charge was laid by the Firearm, which is not really motivated by the enforcement of the law to maintain the rule of law and order in even in a general bourgeois sense of that concept, but to actually go after EFF because the EFF and its rhetoric on nationalization, expropriation of land without compensation, all of that for them threatened the vested interest of the wide minority capitalists that continue to monopolize the vast sections of the economy, of the minerals and the land in this country.
So when you look at this case, how do you think any ruling, whether it is a light, quote unquote, maybe slap on the wrist or a discharge of the charges against Malema, how do you think any ruling can impact Malema's political career as well as his public image?
I'm not convinced that the adverse outcome would really have any decisive importance. Why? Because Malema is riding on the momentum of the EFF that has far deeper roots on the discontent of the black working class youth in particular, who are facing the catastrophic levels of unemployment, deepening poverty and inequalities. And I think this, the EFF is an expression of that anger on the part of the black working class youth in particular. So I think his political career in general is linked with that. To the extent that there are problems in the EFF, none of that rest on this case. The support for him would actually remain insofar as the EFF is concerned, because it will simply reinforce the image of him as a martyr of the cause for the economic freedom in the lifetime of many of these young people that are rallying behind his call and the cry for radical transformation of society. Now, I don't think the EFF itself is consistently committed to that. They've been making retreats on a number of issues, including nationalizations, and that has shifted them to the right, and that has lost them ground in a number of important areas and amongst sections of their constituency. But the outcome itself would not have any decisive importance.
Interesting. So in terms of that, if you believe the outcome of any judgments regarding Malema in this case may not have any consequence for him particularly, let's widen the conversation a bit and look at what this case means for the broader issue of firearms laws and political figures in South Africa. Do you think this case will have any relevance in that situation, in that arena?
Well, I mean, there are two levels to this case, right? You have, a legal case that is before us of a discharge of a firearm in a crowded area that I think, is a criminal act. There is absolutely no doubt, about that. And I think the elements for conviction on that ground technically exist. And I think the evidence is there to support that. But I think, the issue of carrying a gun in general, I think in this context, was also a political expression. particularly, an expression of the protest over the unfinished, if you like, revolution in this country that has left the economic power in the hands of the same privileged elite that controlled it under apartheid, in the hands of the same imperialist corporate monopolies that continue to control, as I said, the economy, the land, and the minerals in this country. So there is those elements, and I think the intervention of, AfriForum is to decapitate, so to speak, the EFF, because this is not only the case that they brought against him. There are quite several of them, and I think their agenda from that point of view, it's absolutely clear. At the same time, we do have a problem. When you go to Western Cape, many people are losing their life because they are caught, in the crossfires between the gangs, in Cape Town in particular. And I think this is a major concern for the people in this country. So
all right.
Mr. Sebei, going to be challenged to strike the balance.
All right, I do apologize. Time will not allow for us to go further, but we are watching very closely to see how this case develops. Thank you so much for your time.